This video will be covering the BIC Form, or the Brand Inspection Certificate, which is used to allow transportation of livestock. Just like filling out any online form on the WLSB website, you'll go to the WLSB URL and use your login information. Click Login. You'll be brought to the dashboard, and you'll access the BIC Form by going to the Brand Inspection menu, Forms submenu, and BIC Form. This will bring you to the BIC Form table, where you'll be able to view all the BIC forms that the logged-in inspector has filled out. To create a BIC form, select the Add BIC Form icon and click that. The first section of the BIC form is the information section, which contains the general information of the form. The BIC form number is generated automatically as a unique identifier for the form, and by default the backup BIC number matches the BIC number. However, if a paper form is used, the backup BIC number can be changed manually in order to match that. The premise number can be filled out with the unique identifier of the location of the livestock and is limited to 10 digits. The date field is automatically set to the date that the form was created. However, you can also modify that by clicking on the calendar icon and selecting a new date. In the owner-seller name, fill out the name of the owner or seller and the address at which the inspection occurred. The zip code field is automatically loaded with Colorado, Wyoming, and South Dakota zip codes. If you begin typing, a list will appear of valid zip codes. You can either select from the list or continue typing in the zip code, which will automatically populate the city, state, and county fields. When you've finished typing, select Tab to navigate between fields. If the inspection occurred in a designated surveillance area, or DSA, the zip code for that area will cause the From DSA checkbox to automatically fill. Let's see what that looks like. And you can see that the DSA checkbox has filled. Next, select the form type. Form A is valid for a single trip or transaction, Form D is valid for hide inspection only, and Form H is valid for an annual inspection, 12 months, or for in-state use only. If you select Form A, you will be able to select change of ownership, movement, or both. Selecting movement will bring up additional options asking you to provide details as to the purpose of the movement, including slaughter, feeding, breeding, exhibition, market, and recreation. Selecting D automatically selects that it is only for change of ownership. Form H automatically selects that it was only for movement, so again, you would need to specify the purpose of the movement. Today we'll fill out a Form A for both change of ownership and movement, for the purposes of market, feeding, recreation, and breeding. The final portion of the information section asks you to select a species, so select from the drop-down menu, cattle, sheep, horses, asses, or mules. The default is set to cattle. Next is the livestock section, which asks for details about the animals being transported or sold. To add livestock, click the Add button above the table. If you've selected change of ownership, the change of ownership title field will appear on this form. Indicate whether the title was collected or returned by selecting the appropriate checkbox. Next, input the number of head and the animal sex. The animal sex field automatically completes once you begin typing. Type in a brief description of the animal, and then select whether the customer was the brand owner or whether he or she provided proof of ownership and seller. If the customer was the brand owner, type their name here, or if they provided proof of ownership and seller, select that, which will ask you to input information about the name of the seller, any previous brand inspection numbers, and proof of ownership. Proof of ownership can be any image file, so you may choose to just take a picture of the proof of ownership using your device and upload that here. You can select any file that is saved on your device. First select Browse, and select the file, then click Open. At this point, you may choose to draw a brand or search for a brand. If you choose to draw a brand, select Draw Brand and select a location. You can choose from a list of locations that are appropriate to the species, or you can type your own custom location. Then use the drawing tool to draw your brand. If you're satisfied with your brand drawing and you don't need to make any changes with the rest of the information you entered for the livestock entry, select Submit. Now you can see our entry in the table. We now have our entry that tells us the number of head, our brief description, sex, the location of their brands, the brand owner or seller, any previous inspection numbers, and a small image of the brand. To view the image of the brand larger, click on the row and a larger image will appear, along with the location. To close the larger image, click on it and it will disappear. To view proof of ownership, select the proof icon, which will download the proof of ownership onto your device. To remove the entry, select the remove icon, which will delete the entry from the table. To copy an entry, select the copy button. This will allow you to clone a brand and carry over much of the same information for a new group of livestock. As you can see, the information about our brand has carried over, so we do not need to type that again. We can retype the animal description if we'd like, but in this case we don't need to. And when you're finished with that, you can select Submit. To add a new livestock group, select Add Again, type in the information, and in this case we're going to search the brand. Click Search Brand. In the online search, you can search using the brand-abetical search, which allows you to search by different brand characters, and you can limit your search by brand status as either active, abandoned, or delinquent. First, let's see an example of a brand-abetical search. These will auto-complete, so if you begin typing, the options will appear. Now you can see all the brands that contain a mill iron. If you add another search term, let's say a J, you can see all the brands that contain both a mill iron and a J. Alternately, you may choose to search by information that can be found on the brand card, including the address, name, and brand card number of the brand. Here are all the brands that contain the search term Zimmerman. We can select one by clicking the checkbox to the right of the entry, and then at the bottom of the dialog box, we select the appropriate location. Since these are cattle, we'll select RHC. When we've finished, we can select Submit in order to return to the form. Once information has been added to the livestock table, the species section will become locked and will change color to be slightly blue or gray and cannot be changed unless all the livestock entries are removed. Next is the comments section. In this section, you can type any comments or alternate inspection numbers you have, and they will appear on the printed form. The next section is the fees section. The total number of head field automatically calculates the total number of head based on your entries in the livestock table. All the fees are calculated automatically based on the appropriate information. If a discount is being applied for out-of-state movement, you can select out-of-state movement, which will change the inspection fee and the associated fees, or if not, leave it as no discount. you can select who paid the inspection fees as the seller, buyer, or non-applicable, and the same goes for the beef council fees. In the predator's fee section, you may choose to assign predator fees for different counties. For example, if 50 cattle are being assessed the Park County predator fee, you would select 50, select the applicable county, and then click the Add button. Now let's say that 50 are being assessed for Teton County. Make sure you select the county before selecting the Add button. If it's a voluntary fee, you can select the appropriate box and the fee will be calculated accordingly. The same goes for the sale barn feedlot fee. Select the box and click Add. All of your fees will be totaled in the predator fees section, which will be added to the total fees section below the table. First, mark the payment method. Selecting credit or debit, cash, or check will fill the payment received checkbox and populate the date received with the date that the form was created. Selecting check will cause a box to appear in which you can type the check number or numbers separated by commas. If no payment was received at the time of service, select None on tab to indicate that the inspection was done on a tab. Next is the movement information section. In this section, type in the buyer name, their zip code, make sure to tab between the fields, and next fill out the consigned to information. The consigned to information may be the same as the buyer. In that case, click the Same as Buyer button in order to carry this information over, which will save you time and typing. Finally, fill in the destination information. If the destination information is the same as the consigned information, you can select Same as Consigned to carry over that information, or Same as Buyer to carry over that information. In the case that the buyer and the consigned are the same, either of those buttons will fulfill the same function. Otherwise, you can type new information for the destination. Finally, you can fill in the destination premise number, again optional, and the transportation information. Next, fill in the license plate number and state, and have the client sign. If the animals are in quarantine, make sure to check the box that indicates that they are quarantined, and then click Client Signature to allow the client to sign. Select whether the signature was that of the seller, the owner, or the agent, and then have the client sign. The inspector signature will populate automatically if a signature has been saved to the inspector's profile. We recommend that you save your form as soon as possible in order to avoid losing any changes. To save, select the Save button at the bottom or top of the form. To exit without saving any of your changes, and to delete the form, select Cancel. Selecting Save will return you to the BIC table, where you can see that your form is now at the top of the table. From the BIC table, you can also edit or clone BIC forms. For more information on cloning, refer to the L form video. To return to the BIC form to print it, select Edit. On the BIC form, there are two methods of printing, the BIC printing or fleet sheet printing. Selecting Print BIC will print the entire BIC form. A dialog box will appear asking you how many copies you'd like. Select whether you'd like a title copy, seller, a transportation copy, and if so, how many, and a general copy. To print the forms, select Print. This is what the printed BIC form will look like. As you can see, there's a title copy, seller, a couple transportation copies, and a general copy. To print only the fleet sheet, an abbreviated version of the BIC form, select Print Fleet Sheet. You will be asked to select the dates for which the fleet sheet will be valid, as well as details about the destination. Select Print to print the fleet sheet. This is what the fleet sheet looks like. To print multiple blank fleet sheets, simply go to Brand Inspection, Forms, and Blank Fleet Sheet. This has been the BIC form. I hope you found this video informative. Thank you.